Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nahal. Today we are going to talk about jealousy in female leadership. What? Big topic here, guys. Big topic here. Oh my gosh. First of all, let's talk about female leadership. What does that even mean? It means a woman being in a place of power. It's really that simple, which is unheard of these days. Or if it is, it's like, oh my gosh, wow. So we really do got to go into the history of life in order to be thinking about, like, we actually haven't been a part of society for a really long time. And it's only been like about 100 years since we've been a part of society. So I want you to think about, we don't have tools, skills from ourselves and with other people dealing with us of how to be a woman in a leadership position to begin with. Number one. Okay, so this is quite a new sort of topic and thing that we really need to consider in the context of our time, in the context of our gender. It is a legit thing. But all of the things that I'm here to talk about, if a male were to hear it, it would actually apply the same thing, because it actually has to do more with the feeling of jealousy rather than the feeling of leadership. However, these two things are uniquely put in kind of like an interesting context where jealousy and female leadership, there's more of this from the surroundings. Since one, women haven't been with women in the outside world a lot, nor have women been in a position of power to be the bosses of males. So that also evokes a lot of jealousy in the males. So what does the woman do to deal with basically all of this? So a little bit of background. I have, since a very young age, been forced almost to be a leader by my personality. It's just every time I go into a situation, somehow it happens that I'm the person leading the group. I don't even know how it happened. I don't know if it's the pace of things that doesn't move quick enough that I just like jump in there or do it. And then there's other times where I'm like actively trying not to be a leader, and it somehow still happens that I'm the leader. So really, since I was in school, all of my sport teams, I was always voted on for the captain. Even sports that I actually sucked at, which was volleyball and soccer and basketball. I didn't like to run. I'm like a little bit lazy. I'm quick, but I'm not endurance, like just running around aimlessly, just chasing after balls. No, it has to be like a purpose. And then I'll like the force and strength comes and then I'll do it. And so having to be a leader at a very young age kind of forced me. In another video that I shared with how I deal with jealousy myself, I talked about how I grew up in a foreign country where I was the only foreigner. So that was also maybe aspects of things that would automatically push me into leadership. But I was also really good at sports. So I was always often the leader of sport teams. So having that background and then actually moving into a school where everyone was foreigner. And so like still, even in a context like this, I was still placed as captain on these teams. And one of the reasons I think why I was such a good leader, now reflecting on it backwards, is that we were such a small school that literally I didn't really have a lot of people to work with. We were all Asian-ish, like all short, and we were playing like a sport like volleyball in this circumstance, in this story that I'm sharing, is that we couldn't like volley over the net. Like it was we were tiny. And so we could barely, when we would like raise our arms up all the way, we couldn't even reach the highest part of the net, which means that when we jumped, it's not like we could spike or do any of that kind of stuff. So anytime we had a new student that came in, I would be like obsessed with like just being like, all right, great. We have another human warm body that's there that can be on the team that we could switch off. Because another thing was that our school was so small that sometimes we would just have enough players to be on the court and then there would be no switches. So any human being was like a celebration of our team, right? And I remember this one girl, when she came to our school, she was so tiny, so she was short, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do with this? She wants to play, but like, literally, how is this gonna be helpful for the team? And I would spend literally every single recess break with her to just encourage her, pour so much love in her. I trained her. Like, I really spent like detailed labor work just working one-on-one with her, when instead I could have just played volleyball with my friends and like enjoyed the game. Like, this was the aspect of a leader. Number one is that you kind of need to become a hollow reed in order to be a leader. You don't always get to do the things that you like to do. You sometimes have to do the things that are needed of you and required of you, and that you uniquely, if you're the captain, sometimes in the case of volleyball, I was actually quite good, and that having someone who's actually good train someone else would have been more beneficial than getting someone else to do it. And actually, I don't know why that didn't even occur to me at that time. Now I know how to delegate, okay? But at that time, it was more like just like you needed to train them, go and do it. So the number one thing as a leader to avoid jealousy, or just be a good leader to begin with, is to become a hollow reed. Hollow yourself out as a service to others. You do not get to always do the things that you want to do. And this is the thing that women don't understand. If you're not willing to be in a position where you don't actually do the things, all the things that you uniquely want to do, you will realize very quickly why you are not in a leadership position, because you cannot eat, almost swallow, inhale, ingest things that don't feel good to you and that you might have to take. You might just need to be you just need to take it, essentially. And you got to take it for the team. That's how like females become leaders, but also just in general, how jealousy doesn't get evoked in leadership, because oftentimes when you're the leader, people see how you do things and they're like, I know I cannot do that. I know I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to go as far as you are to do that. So then that also removes the aspect of jealousy, because you're like, I know that's amazing what you do, but I'm not willing to go that far and to give my own self-interest and vain imaginings up in order to be of service to other people. For me, at a young age, I felt like I had no choice, and so I had to do that for various reasons. So that's something I learned very early on, that when you're in a leadership position, you don't get what you want. You almost have to sacrifice yourself as a service for other people and just hold the container so that everyone can flourish. And oftentimes that means that you don't get to be with your friends, you don't get to have the fun that you want, but you're just there to kind of hold space for everyone. And your satisfaction, instead of coming from those interactions with your friends, comes from the satisfaction of actually just like holding space for everyone to flourish and seeing everyone advance. That is the true joy. So that's one major way to be a good leader and to avoid other people feeling jealous of you, because usually people are not willing to go all the way to do those things. Number 2, be accountable. A lot of times, I just recently saw this meme. It really touched my heart because it was so real. It was this meme of a girl. Hopefully I'll like put it here if I can find it. And that is, is this picture of a girl who was looking into the mirror and she was like crying, and the meme said on top, it's like, when you see a green light and you're the red, and when you see a green flag and you are the red flag. And then that's kind of like when you're in a position of power, you realize everyone else is doing great, and then you realize that something within you is not a team player, is not helping that leadership sort of situation. So you really need to kind of like be accountable. Part of like not only being jealous yourself as a leader, but also evoking jealousy from other people, is to know that if you are accountable for your actions, that is something that you can actually help the team progress and kind of like move the whole group together forward, right? But if you don't do this and you kind of like hit a roadblock and you're like, you are the hindrance to everyone else's progress, this is where I think is really hard for leaders to do, both men and women, is that you kind of have to kneel and humble yourself to the situation. I see it as like a buckling of knees and just like a forced like head bow, being like, I am surrendered. Like I have to surrender to this because I am the only one who's stopping the amazingness from happening. And I have, of course, every leader who has been in any position, if you've been a good leader, you will hit a point like this where you will feel that way. And I think that's a good thing. That actually forces your own growth. Because to me, if I think about if I'm the reason why other people are not progressing, that's not acceptable. I'm like, I have 1000% control over myself. I need to do it. And what actually I wish, and now I'm learning how to do with more compassion, is to be a little bit more gentle with myself, that I am human. Even though I am put in a leadership position, I'm asked to lead other people, there are still times where I need to overcome myself. And sometimes I do it too quickly, or like I almost like batter myself to get it faster because I don't have the luxury of time, because everyone else is waiting for me. Everyone else is waiting for me to do it. Actually, to share a story from my high school days, we were at a final volleyball match, and my coach pulled me aside, and she was like, and she saw that I was like kind of like wavering. I was like getting a little nervous, and she looked at me and she was like, Nahal, if you believe we're going to win this match, we're going to win it. And I knew that this was goddamn true. And but I was like having my own little crisis. And I was like, the other team is so good. The other team is like amazing. And they were like a team coming from outside to visit our school. So we also like wanted to kind of like be their friends and like be cool and all these things. But then we also wanted to crush them at the same time. So she like looked at me and she was like, Nahal, if you decide that we're gonna win, because my mood really affected the mood of the team, and unfortunately this was the case. And this is the thing as a leader, is that you don't really get an off day. You have to be on all the time, and I have to really remove myself from situations when I'm not in the mood so that I don't affect people, because I can bring the whole team down. I can bring the ship down fast. And knowing that power also gives you the responsibility of like really being responsible for this. So accountability is the story of the day here, is to look at your own actions as a leader to see, are you the red flag in the green flag situation? Are you the one who's really stopping and preventing other people from growing? Like that's like something that you really need to think about. And just to actually really drill this accountability thing home, I remember when I first started my yoga, my business, like I was like, I'm all about mothers, like thinking about mothers from 0 to 5. And I'm like, how amazing would it be to just like have my whole team be like mothers and all the things. It's okay. Like if they have to go and be with their babies, like, you know, we'll just have more women that are like doing it. And what ended up happening is that I would have some women who were mothers and a part of my team, and they would get to a point where they would just refuse to grow. And this was really foreign to me, because maybe this is like an aspect of myself that is, I call it like a huar, like is a Chinese word. It's like a ring, or like a essential part of the machine that just doesn't exist. And this is the part of me, I don't have a stop button of like anything that happens. I'm like, all right, it's just an opportunity that presents itself, so we need to plow through it. And I realized that this is not a quality that everyone has by experience, because there's a point in people's healing where they'll be like, I tap out. No, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to go that far, or I know what it's going to require of me, and I'm not willing. I don't have that end point, which is really, I only have a point where I'm like, this is hard. I'm like, breathe some more, or like take a second, give yourself a minute, and then I like go do it. But I realized this quality of like, even if I'm okay with plowing through things, my teammates might not be, and I might need to spend more time with them. But then I also need to kind of give up on people who are just not willing to grow anymore, that they've put their foot down, they've planted themselves in the ground and been like, nope, not moving here, not moving. And I'm like, that's nothing, I can't really work with that. So my whole idea, my whole dream of just having a team full of mothers, like, work together and like really like, I mean, like even in our job, like I could like give them, I would be giving them like a job, like I would be employing people and I would be empowering people, and at the same time emotionally kind of dealing with the things that come up in the workspace. It was just not happening. And so like I really had to toss this dream out, unfortunately, at the moment, that this is not something that, or maybe it's like certain women that came into my life that they weren't really willing to do that. Some of my clients who are not mothers, they're like always willing to like go all the way. But then with motherhood, there's literal aspects that I myself also had to learn. There's certain barriers that their priorities are elsewhere and that they can't actually fully break down because they have a child and all these things. So all around, not only was the dream kind of shattered in a way, but also the realities of what it takes for women to actually be employed in a company that you want them to all grow, but then what does it mean when it's like you just need to get the work done? So accountability is important, and also realizing, noticing, and being gentle with yourself of how much you can handle in that current moment not only prevents other people from being jealous of you, but also it prevents yourself from developing jealousy, because you realize how much work actually needs to be done in order to be like a female leader. So you kind of like are more lenient with other people and yourself when you're kind of in a leadership position, because you realize that there's actually a lot of components that like actually deal with it, So I guess in this, I can't think of any other thing of how to excavate jealousy. Oh, this is the major one that I wanted to talk about, is like, if you see someone else doing better than you and being irked by their shine and you being like, all right, come down, girl, like that's too much, this is something that you need to check within yourself to be like, are you doing all of the aspects are you really exploring all of your potentialities? Because whenever we see, one example that was given in our membership portal recently was of a woman in a school who was just taking videos of her students every single day to send videos to the parents to be like, this is what we did today and all these things. And this was a single woman teacher, not married, or married but doesn't have children. All of the other teachers who are mothers who have children, they send these videos like once a week. And of course, the principal, also being a woman, loves this girl because she's like, you're giving the parents what they want and all these things. But then all the other teachers, all the other mother teachers have the aspect of like, we're like, we don't have time to like make videos every day. Like, where the hell is this woman getting all this time? And what ended up happening in this situation was that a senior teacher came to kind of put this girl in place and saying that, hey, not all the teachers like you need to get it together. But really in a circumstance like this, it's really about this group of women seeing that this woman is single, doesn't have a child, and that she is allowed to shine since she has the time, without the women who have the children seeing like, oh, I know I have other priorities and other aspects of myself. There's other benefits that my students get from me being a mother, and for their parents to know that our teacher is actually a mother, that they have skills that are different to teaching my child and that can benefit my child than this teacher who can make videos and just show of like what she's doing in class and all these things. If these women understood their own light and where they were good at in their aspects, they wouldn't see the excessive video making as too much, or ask a senior teacher to go talk to her to be like, hey, shut it down. The other teachers are feeling a lot of pressure to like do all these things. So it's kind of like, it's really about not this woman dimming her light. And like, if she can do it, if this is what she wants to do, the parents are going to enjoy it. It's good for the school. This is great. Go for it, girl. I'm all like, yeah, girlfriend. But what I don't also like to hear, these little petty women who think that there's something lost in them, or that they're not doing a good job, because literally the principal is not giving them any pressure to like make more videos or anything like that, but that these mothers are feeling guilty, inwards guilt of and this pressure of why are they not making videos like every single day, instead of finding the light that is within them, that the value that they uniquely offer as mothers of students, and how those parents would actually view and value them. It's not necessarily through these videos, but it's like an internal pressure that kind of comes up. So it's like this sort of jealousy that happens also within the workplace. It's like, if you don't realize, definitely go watch my other video where I talk about how I deal with jealousy myself. I give a couple of tips of like how to deal with it when it comes within you, and also how you deal with it when it comes from the outside. And one of the aspects is and one of the meanings of jealousy that I share in there is that when you see someone else's light and you deny your own. In this circumstance between this teacher, the teacher who's single, who's making a lot of videos, and the mothers who are teachers who don't make a lot of videos, they need to really realize their light in the aspects of the unique values that they serve their students, which is actually about like their roles as motherhood, and what those kind of maturity levels of compassion, how that translates into their workspace as a teacher, and how they can even, if for whatever reason the principal were to give them like some stress of like, why don't you create videos like every day, then that kind of aspect would be articulated. But first and foremost, that means that you need to be aware of your own light. So why jealousy kind of is circumambulating, floating around like the female leadership dynamics and all these things, structures, is really because you see the light in someone else and you deny your own. And then all these emotions go and happen, and you do something wrong where you're trying to be like, if someone's shining, you don't celebrate the other person shining, but you're trying to be like, hey, shut it down, it's giving us too much pressure, instead of leveling up or realizing what are the aspects that you bring to it. Like, you don't need to do anything different, but it's like, if you're feeling an internal guilt or pressure or something like that, that needs to be something that really kind of gets into your brain in that sense. So whether it is allowing your light to shine and really recognizing it, or being accountable, having that accountability aspect of like jealousy, and you realizing when you were the problem, that kind of helps mitigate like jealousy in female leadership. And the first example, I cannot remember what I was saying, but you guys will, and maybe you guys can put it in the comments below, in the description below. But basically, these three aspects of like jealousy. What was the first thing that I talked about? Oh gosh, what was the example? See, this is how I can't remember. I really can't remember, guys. Oh well. Yeah, being accountable and allowing other people to shine their lights. Those are going to be the major two things. The first thing, I guess it doesn't matter at this point. But if you remember it, please keep it in your handbag, in your pocket, and take that with you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Click on the like button. It always helps my analytics. I'm trying to get more views. If you notice on this channel, we have 500 videos and only 300 subscribers at this point of this video. So it would really mean a lot to us, since we put a lot of output out there. Not a lot of people get to hear what we have to say. So if you found this video helpful, I'm sure in your leadership positions, you'll be able to share this, and this will be a helpful video for you guys to check out. So let me know in comments below, what is the action that you are going to take in reflecting on your own jealousy, but also jealousy in the workspace with females as well. And I will see you in the next video. Do check out the one video that I made about how I deal with my jealousy. There's a couple tips and tricks there as well. And also in the membership portal, in the Yoga Avec Moi membership portal, where we have a group of women that are all healing together, kind of like exploring these topics on a deeper level. We explored the topic of jealousy. This is what inspired this video. in that we actually went into depth in talking about how to deal with jealousy in the classroom with children and when we see jealousy with other children. So if you want to join in on the conversations that we're having like this sort, please join us on the membership portal. I will leave a link down below of what we do and how you can join. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.